I see Raymond. Good evening from Singapore. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Poland, Tomas, Singapore, Valencia, someone nearby, another home time, Bulgaria, Kenya, Indonesia, we got Cape Town, South Africa. Okay, everybody, we've got someone from everywhere. Lithuania, and try and keep up. Philippines, we have Tony and Guy. South Africa, Copenhagen, Bulgaria. We have some joining us from India. We have some people coming in from Lithuania. It's all sunny from India. For a second, I thought he was saying it was sunny in India, but caught that. Romania, we have Angela. A few more from Romania. Indonesia. Someone else joining us from Kenya. Tony from Mumbai. So a good representation. Judith joining us from Catalonia. Amy from Singapore. We have Green coming from Kenya. Welcome everybody. Some more participants from Bulgaria. And it's always good now, especially as many of us are in home, that we can really connect across boundaries. Being able to come together in one place, even though we're all in like very different places and kind of experiencing things differently. So as I mentioned, for those who just kind of joined in the last minute or two, we're gonna wait a five minutes or so, allow people to connect. One thing too is you can actually, just to explain a little bit, I'll go into it more later, but you can already start asking and submitting your questions for the panelists later on using the question or the Q&A tool in our webinar platform. And right now, I want to know where you're from. I want to know where people are connecting from, where they're joining from. We've already have South Africa, Kenya, Singapore, Bulgaria, Romania, Indonesia, India, people from all over Copenhagen, Valencia here, Johannesburg, some more from South Africa. So I'm really excited to hear, as we kind of get into it, to hear more about the questions and kind of the thoughts people are seeing in their verticals and their industries in their respective countries. We promise no matter where you are, we have something that'll be interesting for you, something that should resonate with kind of what you're working with, reaching your goals, and just understanding the industry and kind of what's going on in consumer behavior. We have Fritz joining from Indonesia. Hi, Fritz. And then one thing too, I wanted to let people know is that we're also streaming this live on YouTube. So if you have someone who can't connect to the webinar platform or wasn't able to get a link, this will be available there. And also too, anyone who's interested in asking a question there can do it through YouTube comments. But if you're here inside of our platform, we have a great Q&A system where you can ask questions and then also vote and help the most popular questions rise to the top. So we have Vivi from Indonesia. So I'm seeing a lot of like clusters in where we're seeing people come from. So out of APAC region, definitely a lot coming from India. I see definitely a lot of joining us from Singapore and Indonesia, someone from the Philippines. Africa, I see heavy representation from Kenya and South Africa. A lot of people coming from there. Here in Spain, Valencia and Catalonia. Poland, when we start looking more in Europe, Poland, Bulgaria, Denmark, Copenhagen, Lithuania, Romania. We also have an Indonesian resident in Singapore. Thanks for joining. Okay. All right, well, I think we've gotten given a good amount of time to kind of help people join and get started. And it's been really interesting hearing where everyone's from, but I think it's around time and let's kick things off. So just to get everything started, I'll just briefly, my name's Damian Peters. I'm VP of Product at Chameleon, a startup here in Valencia, and also the founder of Victorian Consulting Group. And I'll be the moderator today, and we have a great set of panelists to really talk about some of the changes that we're seeing in consumer trends and also how that's impacting specific verticals. Before I started, though, I'd be amiss if I didn't make a statement or talk about kind of what's going on right now in America, although I know we don't have a lot of people joining, given that it's very early right now. So I want to take a moment and just acknowledge the civil unrest going on in America right now. As we shine a light on it and really try and change the system of inequality for African Americans in the US. I personally know and understand the feeling of equality firsthand, and really personally support the efforts that are going on right now to bring these issues to light on a global scale. I think we can all learn and really acknowledge and support the positive changes needed to bring about equality for African Americans. And what I like to say is that inequality anywhere really impacts us everywhere. With that being said, as I mentioned before, we're streaming this event also on YouTube Live. So if someone can't join to the platform, feel free to send them the link. We'll put that up in the comments for you. And this is the second webinar in a series of webinars that Jeff and Google for Startups are putting together to really deliver quality content for the future and current entrepreneurs. We're really here to help you and your business strive and do better and really adjust to the new normality that is happening right now. In this webinar, we will explain the latest changes in consumer trends in the recent months, how this will affect the laundry, fitness, and beauty industries. Let me tell you a little bit more about the organizers of this webinar. So Google for Startups is Google's initiative to help startups from all over the world prosper. They help put Google products, connections, and the best practices at your disposal so that startups can build something better. And then Jeff is a solution for the day-to-day services. Through the super app, users can really meet their needs in an easy and practical way, starting with laundry, fitness, and beauty services. They're currently the fastest growing digital franchise in the world, already present in more than 40 countries in Latin America, Europe, Africa, and Asia, with 2,000 Jeff hubs. And also, interestingly, Jeff was also named by Google as one of the top 20 best startups in 2017. So with that being said, let's go into the agenda for today and really see what we'll be talking about. So first, what we'll do is we'll spend a few seconds and we'll introduce all the panelists, go into their backgrounds and help you understand the caliber and quality of people that we've brought for you here today. Next on, we'll have Luis. Luis will actually talk to us about consumer trends, the changes that we're seeing right now, and the impact it's going to have on these verticals and for your businesses. Then we're going to bring in the different vertical leads from Jeff to help take those consumer trends and really explain the impact on specific industries of laundry, fitness, and beauty. They're going to be giving you specific advice to really help your business thrive in this new normality. At the end of it, I'm going to wrap it up with some of the conclusions, some of the highlights, some things that we've gone over and covered. And then what we're going to do is open it up for question and answers. As I mentioned before, if you're in the webinar platform, there will be a Q&A tool where you can actually submit your questions. You can also vote on the questions that you think are most popular. And at the end, what we'll be doing is inviting people to hop on, actually ask their question to our panelists, and then we'll be able to learn collectively from the best questions that really kind of bubbled up from the top. So with that being said, I hope you're really excited about the agenda and everything that we have prepared for you. And I'll kick it off with introducing our panel and our participants. So starting with myself, my name is Damian Peters. I'm currently the VP of Product at Chameleon. I'm also the founder of the Victorian Consulting Group, which is a remote product management and digital marketing consulting firm where we really specialize on user growth and revenue growth for startups and large tech companies. And as the VP of Product at Chameleon, we're currently working on an upcoming asynchronous video chat application, and we're really focused on helping remote teams be more effective with their communications and also be more personal by integrating video into regular communications. Before moving to Valencia and before joining Chameleon, I spent 3 years at Facebook as a product manager, working in ads and locations projects, and also working as a product manager in several other Silicon Valley companies such as Zynga and TinyCo. I've been living here in Valencia for about 2 years, where been learning Spanish and enjoying the beach, in addition to really getting more involved with the European and Spanish technology scene, which is actually how I came to know Jeff and the great people working there. So I want to then kick it off to let Luis introduce himself and talk about his experience.
So thank you, Damien. Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Luis Berzal. I work as an analytical consultant at Google within Madrid in Spain's office. And well, basically, you know, an analytical consultant and you know us all. What we do is try to gather insights or value from the humongous amounts of data that are being generated nowadays. And with this value, what we try to do is to activate certain levers that can actually help or improve our clients or ourselves businesses. I actually work within the large customers department at Google, but I'm lucky enough to collaborate a lot with startups and small and medium businesses. I have a very close relationship with Google for Startups, and that's basically why I can be here today. Last but not least, I would like to thank Jeff's team, Google for Startups, and our host, Damien, for making this webinar possible.
Thank you, Luis. Really appreciate that. And then next, we're going to introduce you to the panelists, vertical heads joining us from Jeff, starting off with Vicente.
Sorry, Damien, I was mute. Thank you for your introduction. I'm Vicente Perez. I'm working right now as the head of laundry for the Jeff Super App. And I'm basically looking after the USP that we are offering to our customers and both customers and partners. So basically, it's trying to maximize our proposal in the laundry services. My background is mainly based on operations. I was working for 6 years in a quite popular British retail company. And with that perspective and all this background, I've been working in Jeff for 2 years, trying to improve all services. I think that's more than enough about me.
Thanks, Vicente. Appreciate that. And then next, Diego. Diego, are you there? All right. Well, Diego connects. We'll have Tony introduce himself.
Thanks, Damien. Hello, everyone. My name is Tony, and I'm working in BeautyJeff as head of beauty. I started my professional career as business consultant. I was there for 4 years, and that's where I found my passion about the beauty sector and the entrepreneurship. So after a few years, I had the opportunity to meet Jeff, and it's what led me to be immersed in one of the most attractive projects that I have ever been. So in BeautyJeff, we try to combine the concept of smart beauty that we are defining, and also with the technology to have a better proposal for the customer and to give a better value proposal for them.
Thanks, Tony. Really appreciate that. Want to see one more time, Diego, if you're good to go? Yes.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Diego, head of fitness. We have the vision to create the world's largest fitness club, and we are now creating it, right? We have studios now and franchises like working all around the world, and you will see our studios soon in your countries. So yeah, I will let you know how the consumer behavior is changing and how we are adapting ourselves to the COVID and everything. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Diego. So let me go through a little bit and tell you about how things are going to work and be structured today for our webinar. And go through the dynamics of it. So we're going to start off with spending 45 minutes hearing from our panel of experts. So I kind of already mentioned we're going to start with consumer trends and then talk about the impact on these specific verticals and specific businesses, and really give you actionable advice and tips for managing your own business and your entrepreneurial journey. While they're talking, please really submit questions. So anything that you want to follow up on, anything that you want to get a little bit more information on. If you already have questions right now, the questions are open for submitting. And also too, feel free to go through and vote up and pick the questions that you think are really interesting. At the end of the talk, we're going to go through and give you a chance, everyone who asked a question that was selected, to join on, hop on, and actually ask the question to our panelists. In addition to the question in the webinar platform that we'll be using, anyone who's joining us live now on YouTube, feel free to put your questions in the comments, and we'll be making sure to go out there, double check those questions, and make sure that we get them asked for you. Obviously, you won't be able to join on live, but we'll be able to get your answers and get the information to you. So with that, I want to go ahead and kick it off, and we'll start with Luis, who will tell us more about changes in consumer trends.
Okay, thank you, Damien, for the introduction. As Damien mentioned, I'm here to talk about changes in consumer trends. First thing I wanted to point out is that when we are talking about consumer, it's not an abstract entity that's flying somewhere. It's actually, we are talking about us and how we, during this landscape of severe and deep changes, have evolved. And it's very important to understand these consumer trends because companies really need to engage with us. And if we evolve and companies don't, then we will look for another product, then we will look for another service, or we will look for another retailer. So it's very important to understand how this new buyer persona or this new consumer is constructed in order to provide the best service possible. So first thing I wanted to see with you guys is how has consumer search behavior changed? And what we see here as Google and what everyone else is seeing is that online consumption has grown a lot. And why? It's obvious. People have been confined at their homes, have been confined at their places. So in several countries, restaurants or bars, pubs have been closing. And people have been forced to spend more time at home. And this time at home has translated into online consumption. But the thing I want to point out here is that this online consumption is not homogeneous at all. Actually, we have several verticals or several categories which are growing quite fast, while other verticals or categories are flat or even in a downward trend. Let's put, as an example, travel, for example. We all know that travel is struggling a lot during these past months. So online consumption has risen, but we need to understand where and how this new consumer is behaving online. Here we have some examples, such as teleconferencing and working from home, food, home fitness, online education, e-commerce, or entertainment and relax, that we can see in the graph at the bottom of the slide. They have grown a lot. We had a certain basis, and we can see a very big leap that has led consumers to look for these new terms. By the way, I want to mention this kind of graphs we will see throughout the presentation, at least in my part. It is a tool called Google Trends. I think it's trends.google.com. You can go and check it. It's free. It's open source. It's open, sorry. And you can check how certain words or certain topics behave in all Google platforms. So I think it's a quite useful tool. And we will go through this kind of graphs throughout the presentation. So without further ado, I would like to start with this deconstruction or this building up, I will put it the other way, of the new consumer, of the new buyer persona, as it is called in marketing. We have 6 pillars or 6 new aspects that are growing quite fast that we wanted to review with you. First one is looking after the physical well-being. We will talk about home fitness here, learning new things, relaxation, doing household chores, taking care of finance, and looking after themselves in terms of beauty and in terms of health. So we'll go throughout all of these aspects. We'll dive a bit in each one of them. And we will try to understand better how this new consumer, this new buyer persona is behaving online. So first aspect that we wanted to see with you is that consumer is looking for new ways of looking after their physical well-being. We are talking about gyms closing, we are talking about sports clubs or even pools closing, and people have been looking for a new way of exercising. And what we see here is a very big or an incredible boost in terms of audiovisual content related to fitness. And that's mainly what we wanted to show in the first graph. We see how fitness over YouTube is behaving. And we see that terms such as Zumba, workout, fitness at home, or even exercise are growing a lot. So this audiovisual consume of home fitness has grown a lot during the past months. And that also means that all the retail that's associated to that home fitness has grown a lot too. In the graph at the bottom of the slide, we can see how terms such as weights or equipment or treadmill, or all the equipment that people used to find at gyms in order to exercise, now they have to purchase it in order to exercise at home. So we have seen those two, or that dichotomy between audiovisual content rocketing and also all the retail that it's associated to that audiovisual exercise going in a very good upwards trend. So this is the first aspect of our new buyer persona. The second one that we would like to share with you is learning new things. And when I say learning new things, I'm not specifically talking about all kind of learning is growing. Actually, we see some examples such as MBA are not growing that fast. Those kind of masters that implicate more time and more and are require you to be more thoughtful about what you're going to do, because you're going to invest a lot of time and a lot of money. They are not growing that fast. But in terms of skill gap, for example, we are seeing that this kind of courses that are short courses, online courses that can be offered in platforms such as Udemy, Coursera, Domestika, Masterclass, edX, just pick the one you want. They are booming, they are rocketing. And what we can see also in the top graph is that we as users are really trying to fill that skill gap that we had in order to gain more knowledge of certain things we didn't control before. The next aspect of this new buyer persona is relaxation. And if we, before we had our relaxation methods, such as, I don't know, going to the bar, sharing time with friends, going for a walk. And in some countries, these kind of aspects have been completely forbidden, or at least restricted. So people have been trying to find new ways of relaxing at their own home. So time to disconnect is now more important than ever. Being confined, I can tell you, I've been in Spain where the lockdown has been pretty severe. Being confined is kind of hard, and you really need time to relax and disconnect from the world. So we see some searches going up in terms such as meditation, candles, mindfulness, incense. And interestingly enough, another trend that we are seeing during these past months is working from home. And when we work from home, usually the equipment we have around us, the chair we may have just grabbed it from the kitchen or whatever, it's not as good, it's not as prepared as the one we had in the office. So we are people suffering from contractures in the back who are trying to learn how to massage, how to stretch out, how to meditate. And also all the consumption in audiovisual content of those terms is growing out also quite a lot. In the next slide, what we can see, the fourth item of our new buyer persona is rediscovering the home or doing household chores. A lot of people did have all the daily routine tasks outsourced in other services or in other people. And with this lockdown situation we have been living, we have had to learn how to do simple stuff or very routine stuff again. So, some examples: how to dry your clothes, how to clean, how to iron, cooking recipes, or even how to make coffee, which is something you take for granted that you will find a coffee at the office, but you are not in out of countries, you cannot go to the office anymore. So how to make coffee has become important again, and people are trying to rediscover this kind of household chores. But at the same time, even though people have goodwill, we are also seeing that maybe they do not have the skill or the time or the will in order to perform all these routine tasks. So also help at home, looking for cleaners, looking for someone who can help you doing all this stuff has also risen a lot. So we have the two sides of the coin. People are trying to do daily routine tasks at home, but also they are looking for help in order to perform these tasks. The next slide, and that's the fifth point we will check on the new buyer persona, is taking care of finance. And I know this is an interesting one because a lot of people out of the audience is interested in finance and is interested in investment. Here we see in the first graph, people are concerned about unemployment, which is the yellow line there. And we can see two different types of consumers, two different types of person here. First one is the one that will go to a bank account, will look for savings. We did not see a very big leap in this kind of categories in terms of trends. But when it comes to people that want to invest their money and are able of taking some risk, we have seen very good growth there. In terms of funding, investment, Forex, hedge funds, venture capitals, all these kind of terms from Google, we are seeing that they are growing quite fast. For example, just to give you a numerical example that illustrates this picture better, investment has grown 51% year over year compared to last year. So that's good news for you guys who are thinking of investing. And the last point I wanted to check with you is health and beauty. Basically, it's quite similar to what we have been seeing in home fitness. Homemade has boosted, it has rocketed. We see this very big leap in terms of homemade beauty. And also all the retail that is associated to that beauty has also risen a lot. So we see face masks, exfoliators, hair masks, or head dyes growing within the past months. So these were the six pillars or the 6 new aspects of the buyer persona I wanted to share with you. The thing now is that if we move this to the following slide, what we can see is that people or traditional verticals are being searched online. And we have here some numbers, some very interesting numbers of very traditional verticals that within the last year have seen their interest growth a lot. For example, we can see fitness has grown 26%, hair care 10%, home delivery laundry, even though it's not a traditional retail, it's a service, and services have been struggling. It also keeps 5% year-over-year growth. Skincare with an amazing 41%. Groceries, of course, 28%. Other verticals more associated with relax, such as films or books, which are extremely traditional, also seeing very good growth, and sports also growing 10%. So the message I want to deliver here is it's super important for our companies to be online, even though if we are in a very traditional market, even though if we are in a very traditional vertical, we are talking here, Jeff, we are talking about laundry, we're talking about fitness, we're talking about beauty. These are very traditional verticals, but still need a very good and strong online presence in order to engage with this new kind of consumer that it's being generated. In the next slide, we can see a better illustration of what I'm saying. This is an Ipsos and Google study that has been done within the past months. And what we see here is the amount of people that have bought from a new retailer, an online retailer, just because of the fact that this retailer was online. So we can see, for example, in China, India, Russia, these numbers are above or almost above 50%. So this is very important. This is a huge amount of people that are buying online just because of being online. So here I wanted to use this in order to, as an example, for you to understand how important it is for traditional verticals and for all verticals to be online. Otherwise, you will lose clients. And the same way I'm telling you about the importance of online, I will also want to highlight how important offline is. And now the title of the slides makes more sense. Now I'm talking about the importance of Omnichannel. I'm talking about reaching their clients via online and via offline. Otherwise, we will lose a lot of clients. I give here a couple of examples that for me are super illustrative and super insightful. The first one is how near me queries have been growing for the past 5 years. We can see a small valley, of course, related to the lockdown, but now it's started to go back again. This is growing a lot. We are still wanting to experience this offline store of this offline retailer or service. And also the second graph for me is super insightful. We are really looking forward for stores to reopen. And this huge leap we can see here, it really shows how important offline stores are. So super important to understand that online and offline is the way to approach our customers, because our customers are demanding it. In the next slide, we can also see I stated how important it was during this changing landscape to be online. This slide is also useful to understand how important it was to be offline, because in most of the countries that were analyzed by this Ipsos survey, we can also see that offline stores have been also super, super important in most of the countries. And we are seeing in most traditional countries, or European ones at least, we are seeing that 80% or 70% of purchases were still made within offline stores. So as I was mentioning, online plus offline is the approach. But the thing here is, okay, we are talking about how has people bought during this past months, but it's quite important to understand how are we as consumers expecting the stores to be in the next month. So this is the last slide I wanted to share with you. For me, it's super insightful. We have here a lot of data. I will go through it with you. The blue line means the percentage of people that answer to this Ipsos survey. I will go back to buying in store. The red one is I will only buy in shops that have adopted the security and social distancing measures. Yellow one is I will only buy in shops that I'm familiar with. So familiarity, shopping in small shops that are in my neighborhood, that are close to me, it's also super important. Green line means I will try to do all my buying in just one shop. The orange one is I will avoid large open spaces and I will buy in small businesses, also related to the familiarity we were talking about in the yellow one. And the light blue here, I will buy online and avoid going to shops. For me, if we look at this graph, it's quite clear that safety and hygiene have become super important when we go to a new store. When we go to a store, when we go to a retailer. Also super important, familiarity. Familiarity, this yellow line, is usually the second most important one. So we want to feel safe. We want to be in an environment that we know, small shop, we know the owner and we may know all the products. We want to feel safe. So familiarity, safety and hygiene, and also this avoidance of large malls, large open spaces where more people can concentrate and are causing us so far a bit of fear, so we can say. Okay, so that's all I wanted to share from my side. Basically, in order to sum up real quick, omnichannel approach is super important. We have to reach our consumers both in an online and offline way. Even though we are talking about very traditional verticals, online is super important to work on that. And also for me, this last slide is very insightful in order to know that when we go back to stores, security and hygiene will be a must. And that's all from my side. I hand it back to you, Damien. Thank you.
Thanks, Luis. Really appreciate that. It was super interesting. I'm always I always love personally using Google Trends to really get a sense of what's going on and what people are looking at. One thing too, especially with my consulting firm, Victorian Consulting Group, we see some of these trends happening. In particular, the digitization has been a big trend that we're seeing, but you're seeing a lot of companies now quickly try and quickly get online, quickly understand, and really adjust to this new normality. And wanted to remind everyone that you can answer questions. You can ask questions and go ahead and submit them as you see them. I see we've got a few coming in already. And even as I was going through the presentation, I was thinking of questions in my head, like, things that caught my eye. Like, for example, what are some of these opportunities that companies do have to really change and expand into their online presence? Something I know we'll be talking about moving forward, but, how does one take this data and really impact their own business? In particular, like one thing I've noticed with fitness, I have a lot of friends who are now Peloton users. Like a lot, they're posting their videos. I got my Peloton because I can't leave the house. What are some of these new fitness trends? Like, what are going to be some of the, I don't want to say like the equivalent of a fad diet, but what are the fitness things that we see people jump to now that they need to stay in the house? And it's always interesting to see how traditional verticals are getting online or becoming more online friendly. Like, what are some of these interesting stories that people are, that we've seen or people have seen in their own personal experiences in their own countries? And then even seeing how safety and hygiene are really important now, and this familiarity, right? So what are things that companies can do, or how can we think about ways to help position ourselves better as we get ahead of, as we wait for reopening, right? Are there ways to engage with people to help them become familiar with you or to understand, explain your hygiene before they get started. But just some things I've thought about in my head that were super interesting. But yeah, really keep the questions coming in. We really love them, really excited for them. So now we're going to transition and talk about the impact on businesses and really looking into the laundry, the fitness, and the beauty industries and kind of how these changes and this new normality are really impacting these industries and how you and others in these verticals can really prepare and best position themselves to the new normality. So next up, we're going to actually have Vicente talk about laundry, the head of laundry at Jeff, come and talk about the impact on the laundry industry.
Yeah, thank you, Damien. And also thank you, Luis, for all your thoughts on how our consumers are behaving right now. Obviously, we saw some trends in our customer demand for the Mr. Jeff services, and I would like to share with all the people here which are our thoughts or ideas on what we need to adapt from our businesses to be able to serve these needs. If you can go, yeah, thank you. So as you can see, and probably the most obvious thing, and it's obviously related to what Luis was explaining, is the laundry service needs to standardize a delivery service. This is something that we introduced like 3 years ago as probably the main USP from Mr. Jeff service. So what we think right now is that not just for Mr. Jeff, where we are doing some changes and improvements regarding our delivery service, we think that every businessman or woman in the laundry business is going to need to adapt to this demand from the consumer. As we can see in our numbers from Mr. Jeff hubs in South America, we are seeing an improvement on 20% of the orders that are demanding delivery. So basically, this means that our regular consumers are demanding more services, more laundry services with delivery. This represents a huge improvement for us, but it also represents a big challenge for our delivery service, and means that, and it can be translated, that if you want to be able to promote and to provide a good delivery service, you are going to be you have to be really adaptive to your market. This is something that the standard market for laundry is probably struggling for, because I don't know if you are familiar with the laundry service, but sometimes you don't know even when are you going to get your clothes back. This is something that we try to clarify with Mr. Jeff, and right now the customer is going to demand a clear product. You cannot be ambiguous on your dates, you cannot be ambiguous on your timing, and you have to be on time. So basically, we think that this is something we are going to need. If delivery is something important, probably the second part, and we think is really important, and that's why we decided to standardize this process, is security. The customer is demanding more security and safety regarding the laundry services, and not just because we are guaranteeing laundry processes to eliminate any kind of virus in the clothes. They are demanding safety for both customer service in the shops and also for the delivery process. That's why we decided to go with a contactless process. So every single person looking or already managing a laundry service, if he's or she are willing to start doing delivery, consider that the delivery will be contactless for just to ensure the safety in the process. And also, as you can see in the picture, this is a picture, a standard picture of one of our shops in Asia. You can see that we need to adapt our processes in the shop and we also need to adapt the processes not just for cleaning the laundry, it's also or processes to keep the shop safe for everyone. The next point for us, probably this is something that we had 3 years ago, and we think that right now is going to be even more important, is that we need to be able to offer our services in a really simple way to customer. Even though they are going to demand more safety in the process, maybe they are going to demand also process to guarantee the virus to disappear in the clothes. We need to simplify the offer of our products. And also, we need to offer a solution, be able to order easy and quickly. If we are able to standardize a product that is not complicated, everyone hates to understand why something is dry cleaning or something is wash and fold. Customers are not demanding this kind of information. They're demanding a good service, and good service is not related to the naming, it's not related to the process. So we need to be sure and to standardize a simple product mix that can allow the customer to understand what he is going to request. This is probably the most interesting part of the new scenario that we are going to see. Probably you are thinking on starting a laundry service right now or a laundry business, even if it's with Mr. Jeff. We think that there are a bunch of points that you need to consider to start this business or even to make adaptations if you are already managing your business. First of all, we need to negotiate aggressively. This new scenario that we're living right now allows us to mainly be able to negotiate the price for our rent, the price for our products. This is why we think that in a low margin market, is the laundry market, we need to be even more aggressive. Historically, we have seen laundry shops being premium located, like in high street areas or even in the best position in a shop. Right now, what we need is to ensure we are able to find the best to open our laundry, because the is allowing us to negotiate aggressively. Second part of this is, and also very important, simplifying our product mix. As you can see, and as I told you before, if you are offering more than 25 services and the customer needs to understand what he has to choose between all of them, going to have a problem, because they are looking for solutions and quick solutions and easy solutions. So we think that that's an important point right now. Third, and is also important, as I was saying like a minute ago, you need to warrant safety in your process. Obviously, the easiest way to standardize the safety in your washing process is through heat. If you standardize at a temperature that is over 60 degrees, you are warranting 90% of the times that you are to eliminate any virus in the clothes. But even with that, we recommend to use some chemicals, and we are not using any brand. Obviously, there are several chemicals, cheap chemicals. You don't need to buy a specific chemical. Are like vinegar, for example. Vinegar is a good solution to standardize in your clothes. So we think every people looking to start or to improve the business of laundry right now needs to standardize these processes, and as well for delivery with contactless delivery. And last but not least, you need to be with your opening hours. This is why I was saying like minutes ago that you need to offer a quick and easy solution for your customer, but you also need to understand that even in a scenario when maybe is more available, you need to be able to understand that the time he's at home, maybe he's working. So people being more at home doesn't mean that they are going to be more available at home. You go and you disturb them during the working hours, or even more important, the time that people will spend out of home will be more important for them, because obviously this scenario is going to impact every single country with restrictions. So that's something we want to highlight. You need to be flexible, you need to be clear, and you need to provide your customers an open range of solutions for their services. And honestly, just to be more specific, these are some of the measures that we standardize for every single Jeff partner, and I think that this is something that every single laundry business will be standardized as well. As you can see, contactless delivery, employee safety measures, disinfecting the locals, washing the floor, drying at high temperature are basic measures that we need to standardize for everyone. That's very important, and this is why we told every single Mr. Jeff partner to understand where is the problem and what solution or what solution. Finally, this is how Mr. Jeff service was pre-COVID, how we adapt or post-COVID. As you can see, we were a laundry service that allows every single customer to order a delivery service with 48 hours, pick up and delivery. Then we introduced app, like it's the best solution or the easiest solution by the customer channel to acquire customers, and also simple process with affordable prices to offer a good service. And COVID, have to guarantee disinfection and safety, we had to start contactless delivery service. And also, and one of our challenges now is being able to provide orders in 12 and 24 hours. Obviously, we keep the app alive and keep our simple process and affordable prices for a single customer. This is how we adapt our proposition, and this is how we think the laundry market will be growing in the following years. That's everything for the part. Damien, if you want to introduce the next speaker, I will be. Yeah. Thank you everyone for hearing me. I know bunch of problem with my connection, but sure, if I will try to fix it to be able to solve all your questions before. Thank you and welcome, Diego.
Hello everyone. Well, we're gonna talk about fitness. So fitness is one of the industries that you have been seeing that it's changing the most, right? Because everyone, while in the lockdown, has been training, has been trying new things, have been trying new activities, disciplines. And I'm gonna talk about how it changed the behavior of the consumer, but also, and more important, how it's gonna change in the future. How can we adapt our businesses and how we are adapting and giving more flexibility to FitJeff in this case. Yeah, in the next slide, we need to know and control the needs of our users, not post-COVID or with the COVID, but also pre-COVID, because we all need the same things. The only thing that it changes is the way we give the approach to those needs in terms of business, right? So first, everyone or almost everyone who does fitness wants to get in shape. So this means that 95% of the people, they want motivation, they want more things, make friends or whatever, but they want to get in shape. So I'm going to talk about FitJeff and how we do this social environment and atmosphere, but all the trainings has to be behind a goal, right? Then motivation. This is something that the gyms, like the big ones, are always forgetting. They are always selling the facilities, the machines, but they forget about the motivation of the clients. That's why personal training and boutiques have been growing very much for the last years. Actually, in the USA, 50% of the market is now from the boutiques. In the total number of memberships, 50% of the revenue is coming from personal training and boutiques, and the other 50% is coming from traditional gyms. But it's like going down now. Flexibility. So now many people have less time, they are more busy in their lives. They want to train whenever and wherever and however they want. It means that video on demand is growing very fast. Classes in streaming are growing very fast. And I'm gonna talk about if you have a studio or something that is offline or even in streaming, how you can create flexibility for those who want to train whenever they want. Then price. So the most popular price is less than $50 everywhere in the world. Obviously, you have a small target of people who want to, or they are up to spend or invest in their health and the motivation more than $200 per month. But 70% of the people want to pay less than $50. It is becoming more and more common with this millennial and Z generation. They want to substitute the beers and the social bars environments to fitness. So they want to be part of a community. That's why CrossFit and other methodologies or brands have grown so much. Convenience. I want to have this space, like fitness space, very close to my workplace or very close to my home. And even if I travel, I want to have options, right? When I travel, I usually train in the gym from the hotel or outdoor, right? But I don't trust outdoor because I don't know if it's dangerous or not. And I don't go to any gym because I don't know what I'm going to find there, right? So I don't know if the instructor is going to be good. I don't know if my colleagues or the people that is training are like me. So this is something that we need to control and to increase our value proposition. Variety. So the gyms, what they have is lots of activities. So people usually say, hey, the gym has 20 activities, 25 activities. And in the boutique studios, they only have one. It's a yoga studio or a Pilates studio or a personal training studio, functional training, CrossFit, whatever, but it usually has one. But now the thing is, hey, let's create a more higher or wider variety of activities like functional training, yoga, Pilates, and so on, with enough classes. But because the gyms, they have lots of activities, but they have a few hours per week. For example, like yoga, 4 hours. So if you can't go on Monday, you miss the class. So this is not good for them. And the environment, design, smell, the music, the feelings, the experience. You have to create an atmosphere wherever it is. For example, if I go to a park, don't choose the most crowded park, right? Go and choose a special and unique spot to train your client. Or if you have a gym, you need to control all these things. Yeah, now we are gonna see how the consumer has the changes, right? And the impacts that the COVID has had in the industry. First, from the 100% of the people that didn't used to train, now they've trained 30% of them. So 1/3 of the people that never trained now tried some Zumba or yoga or Pilates or functional training, thanks to Instagram Live or YouTube or other streaming channels. And now, in the next slide, we are going to see that 80%, from 80 to 80% of the people are going to like stay in the fitness industry, right? Because they've been doing 2 to 3 hours per week of training sessions. So whenever you've been like 2 months training every week, now you have this. So you want to keep training, right? And to keep feeling that you are getting in shape, but most of all, that you want to belong to a community. That's why I think in the next slide we are going to see it, that from the 80 to 85% of the people, they are not going to the gyms now. Like I believe that the gyms are going to lose some of their users and they are not going to be able to acquire more. But the boutiques, personal training, outdoor training, these are businesses that are going to grow very fast now. Yeah. So yeah, we have from the users different concerns, and from the governments different restrictions or regulations. So first, we need to have enough space. So if you have a boutique or a gym or a studio that is not big enough, find another spot like outdoor training or another space near your studio to try to keep the same number of people that used to go to your groups. Then disinfection, cleaning, air conditioning. For example, in China, they forbid air conditioning. Thermometer, let's see if it works, right? So these are different ways of like reacting to government measures or to users' requirements. In terms of social distancing and space, if you don't have enough space, you can, or you have a smaller group, so you need to increase the price of your services. Actually, you are giving a better service because you are, for example, you had classes from 15 people, and now you have to reduce it to 5 people. You're giving better service, more personalized. So it is, it's okay if you increase the subscription, but if you want to keep this social and community way of offering your services, it's better to find another spot. Meanwhile, the COVID is still here. How to optimize this your fitness center, right? So if your capacity is reduced, you're going to increase the subscription price. You can increase your attendees via online. So for example, in FitGF now we are actually going to use outdoor classes, but only in the peak classes, like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. or 9 a.m. Not in the rest, because normally in the rest you have less than 8 people, right? Because they are in the workplace or whatever. But you can also put some online streaming classes, for example, to put a TV there with a camera. So you have 6 in your studio offline, and you have 6 people doing streaming, like a video call, like we are doing now in Zoom. So you double your capacity, and you keep the people attending to your classes and being social anyway. And actually you give them more flexibility because they can connect from home, from their workplace, or from a hotel, wherever they want. Increase your weekly class hours. You have to being under control on the break-even of your class, so you get all your expenses, like the trainer hour cost, the materials, the equipment, and the rental, everything, and you need to calculate how much or how many people do I have to have per class to be in break-even. Once you have it, you can increase the number of classes. So if you used to have 40 classes per week, you can increase it to 45 to monetize more. Duplicate or substitute indoor classes with outdoor ones. You can either have outdoor at the same time that indoor. For example, you have indoor class with functional training and you have only 6 people, it can be more personalized. But maybe some others want to be in a 15 people class because it's more social. So you can use both of them, or you can just substitute one from the other. And instead of doing those peak classes indoor, you use your studio as a meeting point, and you go running to a park or a beach or a space where you can have more people. You can do some cross-selling. selling products. So we are selling in FitGF mats, water, bottles, like elastic bands, t-shirts. So find some products that are like connected to your buyer persona. So don't sell like supplements if you have women that don't need them, right? Or they're not the buyer persona. And like at the end, if you need more space, you can increase the size of your studio. So for example, we have studios up to 75 square meters because we don't want to have this real estate issue. But now we are considering going up to 95 square meters. So 20 more square meters, so we don't suffer on the capacity limitation, okay? Yeah, so just to make it short, so pre-COVID, we had 1.5 meter between users. So we had a capacity of 22 users in our fitness room, but we only use 16 spots. So now if we want to reduce capacity, we can still be with 8 to 10 people, right? So now we are gonna let them be 2 meter, one from the other. We have this strong technology now. So through the app, you can book the class. So this is good for us, and we already had it. We can play with the prices, like reducing it if all the fitness centers go this with aggressive offers or bargains. So we can reduce it to 30% or even up 30% if we have smaller groups. We are gonna guarantee this disinfection and safety, and we don't have waiting area because that is so much expenses, right? So with the technology and the booking, you can avoid this and save around, I don't know, $3,000 per month, $4,000 per month. Okay, so yeah, just think about the needs of the users, how you can adapt your business to those needs, and giving them flexibility and adaptability to your business. And yeah, I'm open to your question afterwards. Happy to answer them.
Thank you, Diego. So really great to hear a lot about like what's going on in fitness and what's going on in laundry. Once again, I want to tell everybody, just make sure you're getting your questions submitted, because last time we ran this, we definitely ran short on time. So we want to make sure everyone gets a chance to submit their question. Remember, there's a small like button that you can use, or a thumbs up button, I should say, where you can vote the questions that you think are more popular. And then for me too, I always, sitting through this, since I haven't specifically worked in fitness or laundry myself, there's just a lot of interesting questions I thought that I feel like a lot of you might be thinking also. It was really interesting to hear about some of the changes around sanitation and disinfection, specifically in the laundry industry. It even made me think of like, are there examples of companies that are expanding their service offerings or offering new services to really capitalize on the new needs and kind of the new normality? And then also too, just the general changes in needs or demand that we've seen or have across laundry services. So I'll admit I got dressed up today because I know I have to be on camera, but oftentimes I might be in a t-shirt. So kind of how can we really think about needs now or potentially in the future for laundry services, and how can we address the customer needs there? And then hearing about fitness, and fitness is really an interesting one too, because typically we think of going outside when it comes to exercising. My Apple Watch is constantly harassing me for not meeting my quota, like it doesn't realize that I'm not really allowed to leave the house. But how do we really keep our health, keep our sanity, keep our bodies in shape, even though we can't run around the block? And also, what kind of exercises and what kind of experiences do people want now, given that they're inside? I mentioned Peloton earlier, and there's a social component to exercising using those bikes. Are there ways to use either other apps that are out there and really create this social environment and experience? But yeah, I really just want to encourage everyone to not be shy to ask a question. We really want to hear from you. We really think the questions in the Q&A section is actually where we really start getting into the deep, and we can really take this advice and apply it to your own specific situation. With all that being said, I want to move on to beauty and hear about what's going there, and Tony will take over from there.
Thank you so much, Damien. So in the beauty sector, in the last three months, probably we have experienced even more changes than the last decade. So some of these changes, it's important to say that some of them were before the COVID, and the COVID situation, what has done is to increase the velocity of these changes. And we have another kind of changes that has been because of the COVID. This blog is maybe more particular, so I would like to try to focus in the main changes we are experiencing in terms of customer behavior. The first one, with any doubt, is that the clean and safety we have seen in the other business we have just spoke, and these two reasons has become the main drivers of growth nowadays in a salon. As Luis previously mentioned, the user really wants to be offline, but this client that wants to be offline also needs like an standard of security warranties to go to the salon. So at the end, the main factor that we are seeing nowadays, that the reason why one client is choosing one salon on another is like the safety guarantee that the salon is offering about the business and about the team. So it's really important for us to take care of these two concepts. Also, this is a really good opportunity to the local businesses that they maybe are in a better position about that to take advantage of that. The second big change we can see in the industry, and it's pretty clear, is the premiumization of the consumer. This is also common in another industry, but in beauty even more. Like we have seen also in industry like grocery or another kind of industry, that consumer is having a lower recurrency, but at the same time is having a higher average ticket. This is because of two main reasons. The first one is that the client is trying to avoid the physical contact, or not the physical contact, but to reduce the physical contact. Maybe we want to go a shop. We try to go less time, but the average ticket, the quantity of service you are taking in the salon is going bigger. And also the second one is because we have been in a lot of countries 3 months, 2 months, a lot of time in a lockdown that has been so hard. But nowadays we want to feel good with ourselves to recover the lost time. So when we go to a salon, we want to have more than one service, more services than before. And this is a really, really big change also we are experiencing. And the third change that we are experiencing, and this is really important and really characterized, is like the client is getting even more impatient, because this time for us has been normal to have everything at the velocity at the speed of one click. We try to find something in internet, internet is answering ourselves in only 1 second. And nowadays, this is one of the big challenges that we have in the industry also, to try to have this speed, this velocity that the customer requires to give this answer in the offline world. And we are trying so hard to work and to answer the client in this concept. So it's pretty clear that the last few months have been a really challenge for the industry. We have seen significant changes in the market, but now is the time to adapt our businesses to this kind of changes, and to have a good answer for the customer, for the new motivation that the customer has. And that is the first point. The first point for me is like we have to try to understand which is the customer and which is this new behavior, but it's not only about the behavior, it's about the motivation that is behind this behavior. If we are available to discover and to realize this motivation, and we have a value proposition to give an answer to this motivation, we are gonna be in a really good position, and we are gonna connect with the client. That is the client what needs nowadays. The second one also is we need to work in the efficiency and safety in the processes. As we said, is one of the main requests of the client, this safety. So usually when we define a process and we work with operation, we always define the process since two perspectives. The first one is about the efficient, and the second one is about the user experience. So nowadays it's important efficient, but we have to try to be even more focused in the user experience, because it's what the user needs. So we have to give an answer to this necessity. The third one, and we saw before with the comments that Luis showed us, is really important omnichannel. We have different touch points with the client. We need to connect in different moments with the client, and it's really important to know how sources to use in this moment, and to have the right source and the right moment to connect with the client. To be like more personalize the services, even with the distance. And the fourth concept, and this may be the most important, we have to focus on the essence. It's really important to adapt our model to the new necessity, but at the same time, it's important not to lose our vision. It's really important to the thing that you believe, the thing that you are, to be equal to the thing that you are doing. So it's really important to be in a good relation, these two concepts. Otherwise, the customer can be confused. So all of this has been a process that we have been working so hard in Beauty.jf to adapt our model and to have even a stronger model than before. And I would like to share in the next slide what we have been doing in Jeff. What are the main stages we have worked about with the team. The first one, as I said before, is redefining the processes. We are finding that depending on the country, depending on the market, you have one regulation on another one. So we are reviewing all the processes we have in Beauty.jf, and we are adapting to the law restriction. But it's not only to adapt to the law restriction, it's also to try to give something else to the client. If we do only the things that the law require, we are being like one company else. So we need to be the company, the first choice for the client. So we are trying to offer something else from the law to the client. The first one, we have been working so hard in the efficiency of the management of the demand. This is because, for example, we are facing like a strong restriction about the number of clients that can be in the hub. So now we are working, instead of the traditional appointment method that we have in the traditional salons, in Beauty.jf we are working with the turn system. The turn system is like a virtual queue that the client can request a tour by the APP, so they don't need to wait in the salon. So this risk of and security we are reducing a lot with the turn system, and it's a great point for the customer. The third point is about optimizing the cost structure. Has been 2 months so hard that the incomes has been in a lot of countries like zero because the hubs were closed, and the fixed cost we have reduced, but the hubs continue to have in at least some cost. So we're having so hard with our franchise to try to have like a personal plan to reduce this cost and to guarantee the viability of the business. The fourth block that we have been working so hard also is like the train to the team. The stylist team has been in her home, most of them, so we wanted to give them something else to make them even give some content about the training, to make them even better and prepare them also to the new reality, to the new open that we are facing in some countries about the post-COVID. Another important point we have been working is Omnichannel. We have been working so hard to have this online-offline match that we said before, and it's really important to combine these two sources to give something else to the customer. And the last one but not least is the partner support. For us, has been really important to be close to our partners and to give the best answer that they needed in each moment to try to guarantee the viability of the business. So also, this exercise work in the recent month has resulted in a much more robust model that responds to the current situation. And in the following slide, I would like to share with you the main changes we have done. The first one, for example, we have been so hard with the retail team before the COVID, we had like integrated furniture. What does it mean? It means that all the furniture was included in one station. We have now changed to a modular station, a modular furniture, so we can separate the furniture to respect the law restriction about the social distance. And this is a really important point. The next one is about the efficient layout. We have about this with this modular furniture, we have adapt in any country to the restriction, and so we can even try to adapt to the layout and don't lose a lot of efficiency in the salon. So having a better result and a better experience for the user because they feel more safety. The third one is about the turn system that I was mentioned before. That before was based this turn system about the capacity of the hub, and now it's based on the local restriction about the number of clients you can have in the salon. Also, an important point was before we have like more materials that you can use more than one use. For example, towels, like cotton towels. And nowadays we are trying to use like a material of one use only, because this is not the most eco-friendly tools, but nowadays it's really important to respect the security of the client. So we have choose to this kind of materials to try to guarantee the safety of the client. Another one, and it's really important, is before, for example, the tools was sharing between the STLs. Nowadays, we have each STLs has their own material. And this is really important to also to guarantee the security between the STLs. And for us, is so important. And the last one is about the uniform. Before, the own STLs was managing their corporate uniform. Nowadays, is focused on the hub. This is because we need to guarantee also that the clothes that the STLs are wearing are not contaminated, to guarantee the safety of our team and of our clients. So I believe now we have even a stronger model than before, that with all these changes. And we all agree that have been a really tough moment for the industry the last 3 months. But also we see like it's a clear opportunity, because in this difficult moment is a good opportunity for some industry or sector that are a little bit more mature. If you know how to identify what the client needs, and if you are available to change your model and to answer this necessity, you are in a really good position to be on the top of the list and to be like a better proposition for the client. And this is the opportunity we have seen, and we are working so hard, and the result at least are being so good. And also you would also to have a better model, but it's even better to see like the client is happy with the model and they are so grateful about this model, because you are guaranteed the safety and answer their motivation. So this is pretty much. This is all from my side. So I will be open for any question that you can have. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tony. Really appreciate that. It's really interesting to hear, similar with fitness and laundry and beauty, kind of how we're changing as an industry and how consumer trends are changing, given that we're staying in house. Our concerns about people touching our face and rubbing their hands through our hair are going to be very different now and moving forward than they were in the past. And it's really good to see how we can adapt and change and improve to these changes. That change, they always say like kind of one of the only constants in life and in business is change, and that things will change. So really thinking about how to adapt to the change, grow and thrive after it, as opposed to really letting it hurt or hold you back. So we're gonna, also we're still collecting questions. So we're about to head into our Q&A. So especially you've heard from all of the panelists, we've heard a lot of great things overall around the market, some really interesting things from analysis. So I want to really encourage people to ask more questions and, really take that information that we're presenting and really apply it to your specific instance, like what's working with you. And then remember, for everyone using our webinar platform, to use a Q&A tool to ask those questions, and also to go in there and make sure that you're voting up the most interesting questions and things along those lines. So I think there are some really great conclusions, some big high-level points that we can take away to really think about how the new normality is really going to impact our businesses. It's a lot working with multiple clients, with the Victorian Consulting Group, for example. We're seeing some of these exact same trends play out, and really helping our clients think about marketing and how to position themselves digitally and online and make their businesses more resilient, and to help them really benefit based on the changes that are going to happen in the new normality. So one of the big things that we've seen for, the history of, as long as I can remember, but definitely more so now, is just the digitalization of all of these verticals, right? So because people can't physically go into a store, if you think about simply, cash, the ability to pay someone is now become digitized. We're now using our phones because we don't want to physically touch someone. We want to have a little bit more distance. And that's one example from a very old instrument, but we're seeing this across the board in terms of the experiences that people want and how we deliver them to them and how we engage with our customers. Omnichannel, which is something that, again, has been growing in importance, is now that consumers have different ways to engage with your brand and engage with your company. So not only do they want to be able to walk by your store in person, they also want to be able to connect with you online or in their app. They want to hear from you in terms of social media or other areas. And we as entrepreneurs really need to think about that combined experience that our customers are going through, not just what happens when they're in the store, not just what happens when they're on their website, but from starting point to end point, how are we providing them a great experience and bringing everything together? And again, as I'm going through these conclusions, if you have any questions or thoughts or things that you want to ask one of our panelists, then just drop them in the Q&A and we'll make sure to get to them. Disinfection and security. So this is a process now. And not only is it just actually doing the work to both meet government regulations, but it's how do we communicate trust to the users in these industries? How do you let someone know that coming into your store, and a process that typically involves multiple people or a lot of people confined in the same space, people touching their faces, is going to be safe? And how do we, what can we even do now, again, thinking about digitalization and omnichannel approach, to let them know that they're safe and that when they come in, we're taking their health and giving them the security that they really deserve. Flexibility. So now that so for me, example, my son is at home all day. I don't have the luxury of waiting for the same amount of time for things to happen. I don't have the luxury of going out to places the same way that I did. So I want things when I need them and in a way that's going to work for me in my new normality, right? My work day has changed. I'm spending more time in the house, and getting, if I have an appointment, for example, to get my laundry, I really need that to come. It's not as laissez-faire with an impact as it was before. As we see people starting to change their habits in terms of how they go and interact with these services, you're seeing people being really willing to pay a premium now for higher quality services. Can you really help ensure my safety when I come to your establishment? Can you really help ensure that my experience from online all the way down to in-store is going to be great? I'm willing to pay extra for that service because we're in a trying times. I may be using that service less often, so therefore it's really important for me to have it be exactly what I want. As I mentioned before, Pelotons, which are just exercise bikes, at the end, are a premium offering that really is becoming more popular now, given our new normality. And then lastly, investment. So one thing that's on top of a lot of people now, on top of a lot of our consumers' minds now are both, how do I fund my own self, my own life? How do I pay for things? But also, how do I grow my business? Given that the changing dynamics of the overall supply and demand of the economy across many different countries everywhere, very few places have been untouched by currently what's going on. The new normality, how do I transition my business? How do I afford to change things and make the benefits? And in addition to everything we've talked about too, this is something, again, that I've seen personally too, working with multiple clients across multiple countries and hearing the type of challenges that they're facing. So with all that being said, I think I really wanted to say thanks for all of our panelists and everything that they went to. And I really want to go into the Q&A. I want to take some time, really give you as the viewers a time to actually participate. So what we'll be doing is I'll mention the person. Our first person actually that we're going to be taking a question from is going to be Isabel. And Isabel, if you can go ahead and raise your hand, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and unmic you and allow you to ask your question that you had for Vicente. So Vicente, if you can go ahead and hop on so that you can respond to Isabel. And when Isabel, it looks like she's raised her hand. No, someone else maybe.
I hope, Damien, can you hear me now?
Yes, thanks Vicente for getting that fixed up.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't know. I would like to say sorry to everyone because I don't know why my connection was so bad. I hope now my sound is much better. I hope it is. So if you can tell me, or you can, I don't know if Isabel is going to join.
Yeah. No,
okay.
let's go. No, it's perfectly fine. So I'll go ahead, Isabel, if you don't want to join on, I'll go ahead and read your question. But the first question that we have coming from Isabel is going to be, how do we make sure that the sanitation of clothes in the laundry services is really efficient?
Okay, that's something really important, because there are a bunch of media saying something that maybe is not worth to hear, because the main tool to guarantee disinfection for clothing is heat temperature. Obviously, there are some clothes that are not allowed to be washed with temperature. So what we recommend is, first, if you are able to access a drying machine, and if you can use a washing machine with cold water and introducing in this washing process bleach, for example, that maybe you can only use bleach when you are cleaning regular home clothing, but if not, you can use also vinegar or peroxide, which also helps to disinfect. But the best way to guarantee the disinfection is, if you have access to a drying machine, use a drying process over 60 degrees, which will guarantee disinfection for every clothing. There is no need to go for specific chemicals. We now in Mr. Jeff, we are using a specific chemical in Spain. We are testing it, that will allow us to prevent the virus to get into your clothes for 7 days. But this is something we are doing because we are trying to get to offer a solution for some specific market, like professionals, that they are facing the virus every single day, and they want to prevent this. But when talking about disinfection, temperature is the key. You don't need to go to chemicals. Obviously, you can use some of them, but the main point there is use what you have at home, like peroxide. We usually have peroxide at home. If not, maybe you can fix it with temperature. Everything over 60 degrees will be more than enough.
Thanks for that, Vicente. And as one of probably the few Americans here, I'm going to assume you mean 60 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, 60 degrees. Yeah, sorry.
No, I realize I am part of one of the 2 countries I think that still use Fahrenheit, but one day. Really appreciate that. Thanks, Vicente. And actually, we have another question for you. And this one is actually coming from one of our comments on YouTube. This is from Silesh Mavadia. And what she is asking is, how are you opening new stores in regards to on-site training and support, since most places have travel bans and restrictions right now?
Okay, first of all, our structure for opening new shops and training is an e-learning platform. So we don't have the need to be on site to provide both training or support to our franchisees. When someone is joining Jeff as a franchisee, what he's like, one of our main values is how you can access our know-how. We have a really, really interesting and really extensive e-learning platform where you can find all the resources to be able to operate your shop, even if it's laundry, fit, or is beauty, even relax. We have all the resources there regarding training, but also we have a lab here in Valencia where we provide where we connect in video streaming, and you are able to connect with our, for example, in laundry, we have our dry cleaning experts where they use the tools that you are going to have in your hub, and you are able to get the training. So we don't need to move, or we don't need to travel for training. That was one of the main pain points that we wanted to solve, because the traditional franchising structure will require you to travel, will require you to, for the franchisee, it will require them to travel to another cities for training, more time. We fix this with e-learning and video streaming for training.
Thanks for that, Vicente. And thanks for that question coming from YouTube. So everyone who's watching us on YouTube live, go ahead and drop your questions in the comments, and we'll make sure we get to that. To make sure that we get to them. And then for everyone that's with us here on this webinar platform, feel free to go ahead and use the Q&A to drop a question, or go ahead and vote questions that you think are going to be interesting. For our next question, we're going to have Greg D. So Greg D, if you want to go ahead and raise your hand, or get ready to speak, we're going to you're allowed to unmute yourself. So if you can go ahead and hit unmute, you can go ahead and ask your question. And this one's going to go to Tony.
All right. Hi, guys. This is Greg from Singapore. I just had a question about Jeff Beauty. So to make it very short, in Singapore, you have a lot of high-end, I mean, not just high-end salons, but you have salons that serve the middle to the higher segment, but also in the neighborhoods, you have a lot of smaller, maybe family-run salons offering a more budget or cheaper alternatives. So where does Jeff Beauty find itself, provide value, and basically how does Jeff Beauty differentiate itself? Thank you very much.
Thanks for the question. So in BeautyJF, we are like we offer daily services. Our main value proposition is about also the technology. We have like in the all customer experience, customer buyer. We have also, we use the technology. Since the app, we have to, for example, to book a tour. So we have also like a SaaS that you have all the information about the client, how many services the client has had in the salon, how many times he's coming. So we have a lot of information to give a more personalized services to the customer. So with that point, we achieve two main goals. The first one is to have a better experience the customer, and the second one also is to have a bigger income. If you are available to know what the client needs about the product, about the services, about the deal you have with the client is more personalized, you have a higher income, and also you have like a better experience for the client. And with our numbers, for example, we always compare with the traditional salon that you just mentioned, but for example, with the appointment and with the tour system, no? So we can see like what are the average number of the industry, and what are the average with this new concept of smart beauty, we like to say. And for example, with appointment, one of the hard points that you have, so if someone, for example, miss an appointment, this is a bad experience about the stylist can offer another services until the next client is coming. This is one point. And the other one, for example, if one client has become 10 minutes later for the salon, you are attending like 10 minutes later every client that is in a salon. And for us, our team of stylists hate this because you are impacting negatively in the customers. And also at the same time, it's like you are affecting negatively to the next customer who is coming to the salon. So we work pretty hard in that one. And also we work also, like I mentioned before, we try to all things that are designed in BeautyJF is thinking about the experience, user experience, and also is designed thinking about the P&L and the impact that it has in the business, about the layout, about the technology, about the kind of services we do, about everything. So this is like a mix that we also try to do like in three perspectives, that is thinking about the client, about the partner, and about the franchise, about the business and the impact in the P&L. This is the main differentiation that we have. Thank you for your question.
Thanks for that, Tony. And thanks, Greg, for submitting that question and hopping online. For next, we're going to go, we have a question for Diego from NN Liu. So if you can go ahead and we'll enable it so that you can unmute yourself and ask your question. So, and then, all right, great. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I just want to have a quick question because right now, after COVID-19, I'm pretty sure a lot of things has changed. So I'm just wondering, in general, do you think the offline store will disappear? And also, is there any other particular activities that you add to your business model that differentiate yourself from other gyms or beauty salon or laundry? So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good question. So we have two questions here, right? The first one is if the offline market, fitness market, is going to disappear. I guess you're wondering if the online market or the online service is going to be like more and more common. What I believe is that in online, it's very hard to provide a social experience and create a community. So we had another question about Strava and other tracking tools, right? And communities. So they build a community from the tech part, I mean the product, with the user. but it's very hard to create a community between users, right? So what we are building here is, we have an omnichannel ecosystem here where you provide offline and online service. So offline in the studio or in the gym or in the boutique, however it is, or outdoor in a park, whatever. So they interact with each other. They can go and grab a smoothie or whatever together afterwards, or they can go to run a race or whatever, right? So you create community offline. That's what we like the most, because we don't have to forget that the human wants to interact with other humans, right? Yeah, so the online market is going to grow for sure, but I think that the best combination is online in streaming, like classes in direct, and not only video on demands, because we have several like Peloton, right, or other, but in streaming, it's better. That's why Peloton is growing so much. And we have, for example, ClassPass Go, which is video on demand, only videos that you can follow and see and watch whenever you want, but you don't have this interaction with the trainer or with your partners, right? So yeah, I think this is going to grow for the people that didn't used to do fitness, but we need this offline and online combination.
Hey, Diego, thanks for that. Really appreciate it. And thanks also for asking that question. So our next question is coming from Wiza Tiao in Singapore. And this one's going to be for Vicente. So Wiza, you can go ahead and unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yeah, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so my question is, in Singapore, it seems like most of the locals would still buy their own washing machine. They'll do their own washing because it's more cost efficient, and home use washing machines are also getting more advanced and affordable. So how do we make sure that Jeff laundry business will be sustainable in Singapore?
Yeah, thank you. Can you, Damien, can you confirm if you can hear me well?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Obviously, this is a question that is appearing for every single market regarding laundry, because obviously, and as one of the comments that Damien was saying before entering in the part of the Q&A, there is a question in everyone's mind, like, if we are going to spend more time at home, why are we going to need more clothes, or why are we going to need more laundry? That's something that we try to clarify in the last webinar, and also there is a bunch of data on this. And specifically, just for Asia and for all the APAC market, there are a bunch of signals that the expectations that we can have for the laundry service is even much better than we used to have before. Why? If you look for the last fashion report from McKinsey, the really respected consultant company, you will find that the fashion industry is going to change. Why? Because we need less clothes by day. So what they are expecting to see is a change in the trend of buying clothes. And we will move from buying cheap clothes that we need, because we need more variety to show our clothes every single day. And we will move to a scenario where we have less clothes, but better clothes that last more time, use more time, like we used to have 25 or more, 50 years ago. In this scenario, obviously, the dry cleaning and laundry services will appear as the only solution to keep or to take the care of these clothes. And not just that, Tecnavio, and this report has been also mentioned on Business Wire and Business Insider. Tecnavio published a report like 1 month ago, just for the specific laundry and dry cleaning market future. And what they are predicting or seeing is that this kind of trend in the consumer is showing us that the laundry market will grow an average of between 4-5% from now to 2024, which means that a market that right now, the size market of the laundry and dry cleaning services right now used in Asia is around 1 billion. which will mean a huge increase on this market size in this period of time, even knowing that APAC, because to be honest, this report is showing really a really good improvement on the MEA sector or the MEA area. The APAC area is going to be probably the slowest growing area, but the biggest growing area. We will need more time to grow, but the growth will be massive. So that's another significant point to understand about the Asian market. And to be honest, what we are seeing from countries as Philippines, where the lockdown has been really tough, but we are allowed to open right now, and even in Singapore, because in Singapore we had the lockdown didn't impact the Mr. Jeff service at the first time, but it's being impacted right now. But what we are seeing from the Philippines is we are seeing an increase of, I think, let me check, but we are seeing an increase of 6% in the active customers that we have in a monthly basis if we compare ourselves with January. And also we are seeing a 8% increase on our average ticket order if we compare May with January, which means that people is just trying to find a solution for the laundry services around there. I think this is more than enough to know or to understand that, knowing that Singapore, obviously, and your question makes sense because Singapore is living right now the hardest lockdown, the expectation for the laundry market is really good. And not only because the people is going to demand more delivery services, is because probably the fashion sector and the fashion market is going to change.
Thanks for that, Vicente. And so we now have one question, and this one's for Luis. And this question's coming from Vincent Reyes, I believe in the Philippines. So Vincent will go ahead and unmute your mic. All right, although it seems like maybe Vincent might have disconnected already. So I'll go ahead and read Vincent's question. So Vincent was specifically, Vincent, not Vicente, was specifically asking Luis around data for the Philippines when it comes to Google Trends, if you've looked at anything there, if there's any data available for someone to go look at on their own.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Vincent, even though he's not here anymore. Basically, when it comes, I gave two different types of data. We were talking about the Ipsos survey that was specific to certain countries. On that survey, we do not have more data. It's a closed survey, and that's all the data points we have. But regarding Google Trends, yeah, indeed. I also encourage everyone here on the meeting to go on Google Trends. You can easily pick up which country you want to look at. You can choose the period. You can choose a category. You can even choose the platform you want to see or check the trends. And it's super insightful. I also read a question regarding that the information given or the data provided was specifically worldwide, that we did not did a deep dive in each of the countries that are represented in this webinar. But lucky for us, we have a very extensive reach. We are reaching a lot of countries, so it would be actually impossible to give pieces of data for each one of the countries that are being represented in this webinar. As I was saying, I would really encourage you all to go to trends.google.com, look for your country, and just check the specific keywords, the specific topics, or the items that you are really concerned about, or that you would need some more insights regarding those topics. I think it's a super useful tool, and as I was saying, I think you should all go and check or whatever concerns you at this moment.
Sounds good. Thanks, Luis. And so our next question is going to be around fitness, and this one's going to be for Diego. And this one is coming from, it's from John. Sorry, just checking. Yeah, so sorry, we have a question coming from John. So John, this question is for Diego, and you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask.
Hey guys, and Diego, I think you did touch upon this question before. My question was regarding the community and the idea of community, and how you mentioned that with CrossFit, the whole idea is that people enjoy going, they go to meet people. Now with everything that's happening and moving to a smaller size gym, how are you looking to leverage the idea of community or competition within the app space? So trying to digitalize that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have two kinds of competition now, right? You can run or do fitness or whatever, be online with an app. And there are several apps like the one that you mentioned or the person mentioned with Strava. And then you have offline races or whatever that I believe that they are going to recover their impact soon because they were growing a lot, and you can these kind of events, you can control them. So the thing here is building a community. It doesn't mean if it's online or offline, but you need to cover the user's needs on the social interaction. So the thing is that how they compete against themselves first. What metrics do you use? So for example, if it's a fitness, CrossFit, it's how much weight do I lift? How is my technique? So maybe they can take videos from themselves. You need to see what metrics to leverage for them to be motivated, right? If it's running, or because there are many like personal training studios or functional training studios more for running. So it is like kilometers, right? Or time, or I don't know. You can like you need to create a dashboard for your users so they can compete against themselves, but you can empower another fitness centers from the city or the neighborhood. So you can grow a community in this city, and even invite from other cities or other countries people, so you can interact online also. So I've seen many friends that have some studios, and they were competing against other studios. What we are doing in FitJeff is we are creating a community worldwide. So now you have unlimited classes in one studio. But in the future, once we have enough density, enough studios worldwide, we're going to have a premium subscription where you can go wherever you want in the world. You just have to book a session. And if I travel to Singapore, I will be able to receive the same experience, the same people, and the same kind of methodology, right? And social interaction there. So I can't respond specifically to the question because there are many kinds of sports, many kinds of activities, but we need to see how we cover this online and offline leverage. Yeah.
Thanks, Diego. Really appreciate that. And so our next question is going to be for Tony, and this one's coming around beauty. It looks like Nevsi, I think she unfortunately has dropped off, so I'll go ahead and ask in their absence. But what they were wondering about is like, kind of how did you come up and how did you predict the higher ticket price, or what data or analytics in the beauty industry, specifically as you talked about the beauty becoming more premium?
Okay, thank you. More than a prediction, I would say it's a fact, because we are likely in some countries we are operating again, for example, in Spain. So we are seeing this number. It's not a prediction, it's more a fact. But I think also it's a natural thing. We have had like we are experiencing like a high restriction about the forum that you can have in a salon. So with the limitation of this forum and also with the increase of the demand, I think so is the relation about supply and demand. If you have lower supply and higher demand, it's also normal to have a higher average ticket. But also we have to understand that after 2 months without enjoying a beauty experience, we have been in our homes, like trapped. So I think so it's natural to have this feeling, this necessity to enjoy of ourselves, to go to a salon and to live like a really good experience about beauty. So it's normal also when you go to the salon to, instead of one services, to try 2 or 3 services. For example, brushing, blow dry plus cut, color, or whatever. So it's normal also to try more than one services. This is the main reason that is behind this, that the average ticket is getting higher. And also the point that I mentioned before, like we are seeing now also in the grocery store, for example, if you go less time to the salon or to the shop, it's totally normal that you spend more money per once than you did it before.
Got you. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, it's I remember actually watching the news here where Italy opened back up, and they showed in Milan, you know, people just running to the beauty stores and just overtly happy, you know, in order to kind of deal with the buildup of either like old hair or things along those lines. So really interesting to see how beauty is changing and adapting. So we're coming up on our final question, and this last one is going to be for Vicente, focused again on laundry. And this one comes from Pratama Perta. And so we've already, Pratama, you can go ahead and ask the question.
Hello, can you hear my voice clear?
Yes. Sound coming in
Okay.
clear.
Yeah, the question is about laundry, of course. As we know, laundry is probably one of the less environmental friendly business slash activities. So regarding to that fact, have Jeff thought anything about to make the business more environmental friendly, make an environmental friendly option for the sector, and how to balance that by not sacrificing any sanitation measure or quality?
Hey, Vicente, did you get,
Yeah, sorry. I was just rereading the question. Obviously, because there are a bunch of topics regarding this question that I would like to group to provide a better answer. Obviously, there is a complicated part on going green for the laundry delivery service, because as you can see from every competitor, not just Mr. Jeff, it's complicated to find a solution, even more when you are talking about delivering ironing clothes that allows you to go green instead of using plastic. But to be honest, this is probably one of the key projects that we have been managing inside of Mr. Jeff for almost a year. We had the pleasure to work with one of our colleagues inside Mr. Jeff, who is Anuj, and Anuj has been managing this project by himself, like just trying to find the best solution. And the best solution for going green in terms of packaging for laundry is cotton. And we are quite sure that before we get into the end of the year, we will have a global solution for a global green solution for eco packaging, which will be based on cotton, that will allow the customers not just to avoid plastic, but also to contribute to the circular economy in terms of not being or not avoiding using more than one product for the same subscription product. For example, you will have your own bag that you will be able to use for at least 25 times. This is something we are hard working on, but there is also another part regarding green laundry processes that is directly impacting on the washing machines and washing processes. First of all, we don't use any kind of dry cleaning process in our hubs. Everything related to Mr. Jeff when it comes to taking care of the clothes is regarding wet cleaning, which is a technology created like 30 years ago in Holland, which was just thought to provide a solution to the dry cleaning impact. Not just to go green, it was just because dry cleaning is really, really harming for the people working in the hubs. Everything in Mr. Jeff is avoiding dry cleaning technology or dry cleaning chemicals. We go to wet cleaning, which is green, but by definition. So that's our two main goals to be able to go green. I think that eco packaging is probably our main challenge, and we are happy to say that we are finding the global solution for every country during this year. I hope this answers your question.
Okay, that should be enough.
Okay. So on that one, thanks, Vicente. And thanks for closing out our last question for Tarma. So at this time, I kind of want to wrap up. I really want to thank everybody. I want to thank all of our panelists. I want to thank everyone in attendance and everyone who joined us in our webinar platform here and everyone that's with us from YouTube Live. I want to end and give everyone some more resources and ways to kind of follow up this conversation. So if you're interested in talking to me personally, Damian Peters, or my consulting firm or remote consulting firm really focused on product management, especially around digitization, you can find me, Damian Peters. I'm at victoriumconsulting.co. And then if you're interested in learning more about the resources that Google has for really helping your business grow, strive, and really adapt to this new normality, you can feel free to go to Google Campus. You can also check out Google Trends, start to understand what consumer trends and start doing some of the research on your own. And then also check out some of the resources at Google for Startups at their webpage and also on their Twitter profile. And then if you're interested in Mr. Jeff and interested in learning more about managing your own franchise or working with the team, feel free to reach out at franchises@mrjeff.com, or feel free to come to the website, check out the Twitter profile, and we're also on LinkedIn. So we really thank you again for coming here, for taking the time out in whichever part of the world that you're in. We know we got coverage across many different continents and many different areas. We know this is kind of a crazy time. So really appreciate you taking out the time to hear a little bit more about what's going on in the industry, some of the analysis that we've done, and some of the changes that we see coming in the market to really help you strive in this business and understand the industry and kind of what's going on. We look forward to really meeting you again, to talking to you again and being part of our next webinar in the series of these Jeff webinars that are powered by Google Startups. Thank you and talk to you soon.